But let's start here with the New Orleans terror attack. Former classmate said that the attacker, Shamsuddin Jabbar, was a quiet, reserved man, and that all his former classmates are, in shock, in disbelief that he would do this. I went to that neighborhood in Houston where he was from. I talked to those folks. They were, they said he didn't really say much. Have you picked up on any warning signs that, that should have been noticed?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Look, I haven't picked up on any specific warning signs, Xavier. Really, what I've picked up on is just behaviors that I've seen really in speaking with terrorists during my time at the CIA, and really why people become radicalized, quite frankly. A lot of them feel that society is failing them. Whether that's true or imagined, I don't know. But if we look at Shamsuddin Jabbar, really, he had 3 failed marriages. He was very far behind in child support, deeply in debt, and had lost his home. And so I think as a result of that frustration, he was looking for some place to belong and some place to, I guess, fix his problems. And I think that those behaviors and those feelings that he had wouldn't have necessarily been a red flag to anyone. Lots of people have failed marriages, but I think combined led to this behavior. Yeah, something certainly set him off. Jabbar was born in the U.S., Beaumont, Texas, not far from Houston, honorably discharged from the military, and then at one point employed by a major consulting firm. Yet, you just kind of touched on this, radicalized by ISIS. How does this happen? Is this a common theme here, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out? Look, it's an excellent question, Xavier, quite frankly. Look, ISIS has been telling us that they were going to do this since really 2015. And former FBI Director Wray has been talking about this and has been warning Congress now for a couple of years that he believed the next ISIS or al-Qaeda attack actually would come from within. ISIS is super different than al-Qaeda in that they really use the internet, AI, and all different kinds of messaging platforms to really reach people. And I'm pretty sure that's how they found Jabbar. And so I think really if ISIS tells us what they are going to do all the way back as far as 2015, they're going to do it. And they are really utilizing online radicalization.
Are there key differences between domestic and foreign extremists? And how can, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but how can they be spotted? Because if you have the answer, that may have thwarted this entire thing or kept something else from happening years ago,
Look, I don't have the answer. I'll be completely transparent. I was sitting in CIA's Counterterrorism Center on September 11th, and we missed it, right? And I was sitting there at the crux of all of that. And so the reality is one of the ways you can tell is through communications and increase in chatter. But the problem is what's going on now, particularly you mentioned domestic terrorism, is that these are lone wolf attacks, whereas al-Qaeda was using large networks. And it's much easier to catch someone if they're using a large network. There's more room for mistakes. That's what's becoming incredibly difficult. And it's almost like, I guess, in a way, playing terrorist whack-a-mole, if you will. You're trying to stop the next one before the next one pops up. And so in terms of foreign terrorism, really the radicalization is originating overseas, which is what is happening here. In regards to domestic terrorism, it's in furtherance of political, ideological, or religious goals. So I guess those are the key differences between the two. But obviously, this individual is a born and raised U.S. citizen.
Well, and he also wasn't on any list, not that I've seen so far. Tracy, are you concerned about potential copycat attacks using vehicles? I think FBI has already put out a warning about that.
Yes, ISIS, again, has made statements starting in, I believe it was 2016, that these were the types of attacks that they wanted to engage in because they're obviously very cheap. They do not require a lot of training, and they don't necessarily require individuals to go overseas for that training. And so they have actually been asking for this. In fact, really the first one was in 2016 in Nice, France. An ISIS member drove a vehicle on Bastille Day into a bunch of people. And actually, that's why they were ballards up on Bourbon Street, was in response to that, to be completely honest. And so, unfortunately, I do expect that there are copycat attacks.
All right. Tracy Walder, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.